Hey, Denis Leary here.
And Liz Gillies.
You are watching Ultimate Classic Rock. I'd have to say the Replacements I loved. They were a band I loved. I saw them one time play for 3 hours, and then another time I saw them play 3 songs and get into a fist fight. I think the Gallagher brothers, to a certain extent, I don't want to get in trouble legally here with the Gallagher brothers, but some of my favorite rock and roll acts, Ray Davies and his brother Dave Davies. So I love the fact that all of our favorite bands, pretty much, the Stones, Aerosmith, NWA, they can't exist with each other for a long time without getting into huge fights and disagreements. And some of them get through it and survive. But then you hear about like Robert Plant getting offered $800 million to tour with Led Zeppelin and Jimmy Page. This past summer was the offer, and he just couldn't bring himself to do it. So I think that dynamic of trying to discover, I don't know how much, when I hate people, I really hate people. And I come from an Irish family, like we express our rage and we hate each other and we hold grudges. But if you came to me and said, I'm going to give you $800 million to run around naked while Led Zeppelin's on stage, I'm naked for the summer. You know what I mean?
Figure it out.
Yeah.
I think for 2-3 hours.
That's just, to me, that's actually the story of our band, is me and Flash getting into the same room with her, bringing us back together again, and having to put up with each other. And it's not for $800 million, but it is like sort of a life-saving amount of money for my character. So I have to say, if I was Robert Plant, I would be on tour right now I would be Jimmy Page's best friend for the next 3 months. If we think about it, let's break down the $800 million, right? There's 2 guys, essentially, who wrote those songs. So let's say Liz and I hate each other. Let's say Sex and Drugs and Rock and Roll becomes a huge hit. And in 5 years from now, they want to do a 6th season, but we hate each other.
Yeah, we hate each other.
Which, by the way, she could easily hate me because
We fight.
Yeah.
We just
and somebody says, like, we're going to give you, let's make up a number, $20 million each to do 1 more season. I'm doing whatever fucking Liz Gillies wants for that entire season to get that money.
He would do that.
I'm a whore. I guess what we've discovered here is that I'm a whore. That's a good question, because those are my 2 favorite bands of all time, Stones and The Who, right? But I'm not, even though I think we cover it in the show, I'm not a rock opera guy. Tommy's fine, Quadrophenia's fine, but that prog rock, all that bullshit, man, Woodstock to me was like a documentary about how not to, live your life. I never liked hippies or any of that shit. Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young was never, I'm just being honest, right? I like 3-minute rock and roll songs. That was my thing. That band, I went to see them do Quadrophenia because my brother's a huge fan of that, and I took him. And I was like, whatever. But I got to tell you, man, they're both 70. They were all over that stage, and they have Ringo's kid playing drums, Zach Starkey, who's fantastic. But somewhere in the show, when they were doing the greatest hits, they dropped down a video of John Entwistle on bass. And then they drop down a big giant video screen of Keith Moon on drums, and they play with Keith and John. So it's so bizarre. So I came out. Weird. Yeah, I came out of it feeling like what my brother said that night. He was like, "I still love seeing those 2 guys because that really, he wrote the songs and that was the singer. You have a great drummer in Ringo's son, Zach, on drums, but when they came down, it's sort of like the best of both worlds." I don't know where you draw the line. We're going to find that out as we go on now over the next 20 years.
What about
who lives, who dies, and when does a band end?
Hologram concerts.
I don't like the hologram thing.
No, it's weird.
It's too creepy for me, man.
I heard someone bragging, they're like, "No, I did see him. I did see him." They're like, "It was a hologram, but it's the same thing."
Who were they talking about?
Tupac, right?
Oh, yeah, that was creepy. How creepy was that?